Hello, Chris Green here with the Flood Insurance Guru, where we have an educational background in flood and hazard mitigation. This helps us better understand your flood risk, your flood insurance options, and even possibly helping you get zones changed. Today we're here on the Chattahoochee River in Helen, Georgia, and we're talking about what happens when flood insurance just isn't enough. You know, who fills in that gap? Is it money out of your pocket? Is FEMA going to step in and help? You know, what are the resources? So we're going to talk about those things today. First of all, what we want to talk about is the National Flood Insurance Program, which generally is built on actual cash value. So this means the stated amount on your policy. The National Flood Insurance Program maxes out at $250,000 on dwellings that are personal or residential and $100,000 on contents. As we mentioned, this generally is actual cash value. So let's say you have a $500,000 house and you have $400,000 in flood damage, but you've only got that $250,000 policy. You know, where's that gap? What's going to happen? Well, you have what's called an excess flood market outside of NFIP that you can basically stack on top of each other. So what does this mean? Let's just say you have a $250,000 policy. This means you could come in and stack that $150,000 on top of it again, of course, before a flood loss occurred. And what this does is it gives you the $400,000 that you need. You could also take a look at the private market, which is going to give you replacement costs and some additional things as well, and maybe even being less. And so that's where some of that gap will come from. Well, what happens when your flood insurance runs out? You know, does FEMA step in? In certain situations, FEMA can step in if you can show to them that flood insurance is not covering the things you need it to cover. But FEMA is not going to step in and provide assistance for things that flood insurance would cover. For example, sometimes they will pay for additional living expenses up to 3 months if there is a disaster relief going on in an area. However, when it comes to just straight up FEMA assistance, they're not going to kick in unless there's a disaster relief generally in the area. So maybe it's just your house and another house or a couple acres that's impacted where your flood insurance is going to kick in. FEMA assistance may not kick in. So it's important to understand that. The other thing that's important to understand is with FEMA assistance, generally it's a loan. And so what this means is you do have to pay back this assistance. Even though it's on a low interest loan, this is something very important to understand. So when you're insuring your home for flood insurance, don't just accept the $250,000, because if you have an $800,000 house and it takes $600,000 to repair it, you could be on the hook for $350,000. It can force you into foreclosure or bankruptcy.